Welcome to the Due to My Role podcast. Today I am joined by American comedian and actress Heather McMahan. Heather,
Hello.
welcome.
How are you?
I'm wonderful, Heather. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's always been a dream of mine to talk to other men about money.
Yes, well, and typically I don't, you may be my first female guest.
Yeah, I figured as much. Yeah.
Yeah, mostly financiers.
Yes. But, I am an entrepreneur, so I am very excited to talk about all things equity and privates.
Of course. Yes. Well, private equity is near and dear to my heart. So much so that our third child, EBITDA, we named her EBITDA.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And obviously I wouldn't expect a comedian or actress to understand what that acronym means, but and we don't need to get into it. But I'm so curious. I was looking at my show notes, and they're here somewhere. I was looking at my show notes, and comedian and actress. So there must be. This is a side gig. Yes. Do you make money? How? So what I'm curious about is, how do you make a living in such a
oversaturated?
How do you monetize a hobby?
Well, it's crazy. Great question. I ask myself that every night before I go out on stage and perform for thousands of rabid fans. I do say, how did I make money at this? I do believe in diversifying the portfolio. So when I do make a little chump change, a little pocket change, if you will, at comedy, I definitely invested in real estate. So I turn and burn that.
Wonderful. And you're in Atlanta, Georgia, correct? Is that your permanent residence?
Yeah, permanent residence in Georgia.
Wonderful. So we have many friends in the Buckhead region.
Yes, that is where I live. I guess I just closed on a new home in the Buckhead region.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
And it's really small. It's small from my comedy money,
Oh, right. Well, I didn't want to ask. It's probably a sore subject, right?
Studio apartment.
Right. Well, and I never like to compare with my guests, because I just due to the level that I operate at in the financial world, I have multiple properties, and Georgia was never on the list of a place to procure property.
You should come down. I mean, I'm surprised. How many times have you been to the Masters? Because I go to the Masters golf tournament every year with a lot of very influential money makers, movers and shakers. Yeah.
So when you go, are you how do I ask this? When you go to the Masters, are you do you work with catering services? Are you waiting the tables, or how?
I do know my way around the refreshments, if you will, but no, I am actually a patron. I'm a patron of the tournament and spend many a coin in the merch tent.
Wow, I go. Okay, wonderful. Well, I've gone as long as I could remember. Yeah. I went as a little boy with my grandfather for the first time.
Oh, fantastic. That's great. My grandfather's played Augusta, and my father, and hopefully one day my husband.
Wow, wonderful. Your husband, Jeff, right?
Jeff Daniels. Yes.
Jeff Daniels. And no relation to Dumb and Dumber.
Actually, the actor from Dumb and Dumber. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. So a family of actors.
Family of actors, thespians, we're all creative. No, all jokes aside, he is not the Jeff Daniels, but he is my Jeff Daniels. So.
Oh, wonderful. Right. Well, she's media trained. You hear that? That's the son I produced. She's media trained. He's my Jeff Daniels. That's fun. That's fun, Heather. Wonderful. Yeah. So, and I see you're a correspondent on the E network for the various
I've done
shows.
that. Yes, I've done the red carpet, which is fun to communicate and congratulate my peers. That's really fun. But hopefully one day I'll be on the red carpet getting interviewed for my hit TV shows and movies.
Right. We get invites to the Oscar parties every year.
Oh yes, it's wild. I haven't seen you at Vanity Fair, but
I'm there.
You're there. Oh, you're there. Okay.
Always. Yeah. Okay. So that's wonderful. So Heather, this has been how do I put it? This has been eye-opening and interesting. More interesting than I thought. And obviously, as my first female guest on the podcast, pleasantly surprised. Well, Heather, this has been wonderful. It's been tremendously eye-opening. I think we'll have another female on at some point, maybe in Q4 2026. My producer's in the back. Yeah, no, maybe not.
Okay, no.
But this has been wonderful, Heather. And what I'll typically do here is I don't have too much time in my day because I'm in PE, private equity, so I'm extremely busy. And what I'll do is I'll pass the rest of the podcast off to my friend Johnny, who's got truly nothing better to do than to just chat with you for another 25, 30 minutes.
Real quick before you go, do you think the stock market's going to crash this year? Like, how's what do you really think is going to happen with the economy?
I think that can I answer this one? Yeah, my producer says I can. Yeah. So what I'd say is this will affect normies with a salary cap. I don't think that we're looking at a real crash, but a slight dip. It'll affect the normies. Yourself, obviously.
Obviously, I just want to make sure that, my mortgage for my studio will, that'll clear. So.
Oh yeah, no, I think it'll be all right now. But for me, I won't feel it, and for the rest of the people, I do feel so deeply, and such a bummer for them. But I think we'll be all right. I don't predict a full crash, but I think there will be a tremendous dip and some continued suffering for some, not me.
You know what? That's what it's like being on this podcast. Continued suffering. So
yes, wonderful.
Lovely chatting with you.
You cut out in that last little bit, but wonderful, Heather. Really great chatting with you, Heather McMahan, comedian and actress. Wonderful chatting. Very cool. Heather, thank you so much for dealing with PE Guy. He really is a pain in the ass.
He's a pain in the ass, but I kind of like it, because I like an internet troll. I like somebody to slide my DMs and call me poor. That's kind of fun. Keeps you on your toes. So that was fun. That was thrilling. I got a little tingle in my taint from that. So
I love that for us. Yeah. Well, I also maybe you should make T-shirts that say "Slide into my DMs and call me poor."
Exactly. There's nothing that a woman loves more than just a straight man, talking down to her about the finances.
Right. Yes, exactly. Wow. Wonderful. So for the people listening to this, Heather and I have internet known each other, never met each other in person or done any interfacing like this, I don't think, ever. But it's been like 10, 11 years, something like that.
Yeah. And it's been a really long time. Are we allowed to tell people our origin story though, of how we became friends?
I want to hear. Yeah.
Okay, so Johnny, you worked at SoulCycle and I worked there, and I had heard about you on the East Coast, and this is when I was still working in West Hollywood, and it was like, I don't know, we became like kindred spirits. Like I was the funny person on the West Coast, you were holding it down in Boston, and that was it. And I was like, well, I got to see who this cat is, and then we started following each other, and the rest is history. It was love at first, follow back. It was perfect.
At first DM, yeah, You had, and right now, I think right now is the anniversary-ish of your father's passing. Is that
today.
Right? Fuck me.
Yeah, Johnny, thanks a lot. Yes,
Thank you so much, Johnny. Wonderful. Okay, at least I have a good memory. Thank you.
You have a great memory. Today is 10 years since my dad died. So
Holy
I know, crazy.
Shit.
But I only had one good cry listening to Rage Against the Machine while I was driving back from Nashville today. And then I was like, all right, I'm okay. I'm going to make a sandwich.
You need a good, yeah. Whenever you started posting about that, because I know it's fast, you started posting about it. That's when I reached out to you. I think I'd been following you, but I reached out to you and I was just like, I'm so sorry. Yeah. And you're so funny. And I think you pretty immediately took like a comedy angle to, because I think for people like us, comedy, I can make anything funny, even if it's the darkest thing in the world. And I was like, you're still making people laugh. And then you were like, oh my gosh, hi, thank you so much. And you're funny too. And I was like, thank you so much. And then you stopped working at Soul and moved to New York. And then things just, career-wise went bananas for you. And
I was working in LA and there was the survival job at SoulCycle, like as I was doing comedy. Because I started in New York, then I moved to LA and continued comedy and kind of like a one-woman show where I did all my characters. And then when my dad died, it was like my family in Atlanta was like, hi, what are we doing? Like it was so quick and abrupt. So I moved back to Atlanta and I was like, oh my God, my career is going to stall. Like I was just getting my feet wet, starting to do commercials and shit in LA. And I'm like, it's all over. And then that's when Instagram stories became a thing. So I had moved home. I was in like the deepest, darkest depression. I was spiraling, losing my mind. And then Instagram stories came out and I was basically like pilled out, being like let's talk about grief. And then it just took off. So it was weird. I think that like, life happens at you very quickly. And if you have two ways you can handle it, you can either find joy in the darkness or it can cripple you. And I was like, well, I want to continue to do comedy. I just didn't think that would kind of like be the catalyst to put me on Instagram.
Yeah. And especially after being in LA and then being in Atlanta, you're like, wait, what am I need to be in LA. But then it turns out like you really don't.
You don't have to be anywhere. And I moved to New York, and my career, I started touring then. And then now I'm, all over the country, and I moved back to Atlanta. I was like, fuck this. If I don't have to like live in New York or LA, I'm going to live in Atlanta, live a very normal life. And it's fantastic.
Yeah. No, I love that for you. You were one of my first, like real reach outs after my sister passed away like 4 years ago now, which is crazy. And I know what you mean. You're just like, okay, I'm either going to be I'm still a piece of shit, but like I was like, I'm either going to be a piece of shit forever, and I'm going to lay on this couch and be featured on like TLC's My 600 Pound Life, and and I'm just going to be like, here, it's going to be like feederism. Like I'm going to have Justin's going to feed me like Big Macs all day, and I'm going to not do anything, or I'm going to get up, I'm going to, listen to Rage Against the Machine and have a good cry, and then I'm going to carry on. But that took maybe a year and a half to kind of like lift my head up and go like, oh, okay, I guess I can keep going. But you were very helpful with that. And you always, you just get it. You're one of those people that just, and your experiences obviously shape that, but you get it.
I was saying this to somebody the other day, and this is going to sound really fucked up, but I almost feel bad for people who've never experienced like a heavy loss. And I know that sounds weird. Go with me.
No, I know exactly what you mean.
Because it enriched my life in such a way where I'm like, wow, my levels of empathy and my levels of like emotional maturity or just understanding how the human condition works is so different. Like I see some friends who they haven't gone through anything heavy yet in their life, and I'm like, they don't know yet. And not that I want anything bad to happen to anybody that I love, or but I just see them like it enriched me and opened my eyes in a way that I mean I have to find the silver lining in the heaviness.
Yeah. And you're like, people who haven't experienced something like that, you're like I have some close friends, and I'm just like, oh, you're so focused on, people say like, oh, you figure out what matters, and like, but it's true. And I'm like, some of my friends, I'm like, you are like, we're all on a train, and it's going towards a brick wall. We just don't know how far away the brick wall is. So like we're just kind of like, ooh. So when people talk, I'm like, I'm like, yeah, you need to.
Oh, it divides you. Your friends who have gone through something and who haven't. And then you'll go to lunch and you'll hear some people bitch sometimes about the most random, just shit. And you're like, okay, Kathy, I don't know how long to continue doing this brunch anymore while I get like a full face paralysis twitch. Yeah, it weeds people out. But I also think like, when I saw what had happened with your sister, I was just like, you have to keep living, because your sister would not want you to not be out there thriving and following your passions and your dreams and making people laugh. She would be so pissed at you. She would haunt you if you did not live up to your full potential.
Yes, 100%. Like, all right, it was like, and I had like a little bit of a turning point. I was like, all right, you gotta like, okay, because you had a lot, and you just kind of, you get like knocked completely on your ass, and you're just like, okay, I'm gonna stay down here, and everyone just continues around you, and you're like, I'm gonna stay down here for a little. And I think you stay down there as long as you need to, and some people it's not as long as mine was. I was just like, and the beauty of at the time my job was fully remote, and I was just like, I don't have to go anywhere or see anybody, and I can take my rage out on people at work, and just figure it out.
Where was the saddest place you cried? Because I cried at Costco. I had gone in, and my mom, I had to get something for a party, and my mom gave me like her ring of like cards, and on it was my dad's Costco card. And they were like, I couldn't get into Costco because they were like, you need to go to the, membership office and renew it. And I was like, I can't renew this. This man is dead. And I was hysterically crying in line at Costco. And they were like, ma'am, are you okay? And I was like, I am not. Where did you ever like the most awkward place you lost your shit?
I think mine would probably be, we were in like Portugal. What's the place that's like Porto?
Love Porto. Yeah.
Wonderful. But we're walking around, someone's like, oh, there's a Harry Potter like library or something here, or a bookstore. And people line up around the street to go see it. And we were with friends, we got lunch, and we were going to go. My sister loved Harry Potter. Like so much to the point where we're like, at her funeral, which was all the decisions made about that funeral were like, I was like, were we all like, okay?
Yeah.
They had like they walked in, she was not there. Everybody walked in with the Harry Potter theme song playing, but like from a pipe organ.
Yeah.
And you could see people, first of all, with masks on. This is 2022, like early, people with masks on. It was like live stream for people. You see people looking around being like,
like what is happening?
Yeah, what is actually going on? But all the decisions made. But anyway, so she loved Harry Potter that much, and so we're like, my friends are all like, let's go wait in this line, and I was like, I'm not waiting in that line. I'm not going in there. I'm not waiting out. And my friends were like kind of off to the side, and I was like standing on my phone like away from them, and they were like gonna go wait in the line, and I was like, I'm not gonna do that. Yeah. Or like they were gonna go in, and you needed a ticket or something, and I had to excuse myself. A lot of them probably don't know that this happened. Excuse myself and go like weep next to a waterfall for like, or a water fountain, like in the middle of a plaza for like 96 seconds. Yeah. And then like, not that I was like trying to hold, then I was like, okay, like that's out, and like weep, like gasp, weep, but pretend I'm on the phone, my head's down, like, and then like, okay, so are we gonna go to that vineyard now? But they like didn't know, or
if you don't have like the weep where you kind of have like a little bit of a snot bubble, and it happens very quickly where you're like, it's like oozing down your face. You're like, I miss my family. And then you're like, you have 90 seconds and then you have to lock it up. And then I always tell people who are like new to grief, I'm like, okay, you're going to cry. You have to let it out. You're going to feel the feelings. And then you're going to immediately get your blood sugar back right. You're going to go get a cookie, a glass of wine, a piece of cheese. You're in Portugal, get some like sliced meat, and then just eat it. And then be like, all right, bitch, lock it up, get it together, and keep rolling.
Yeah, we're back. It's just, and you need like a little slap in the face, and then you're good. Yeah. No, it's God bless.
But like the whole journey though, when you do see people like now, somebody posts about like their loved one, I immediately like send that DM. I'm like, I get it. Just so you know, like I'm here. I get it. Like a lot of people are not going to get it. It's going to be a weird time. It's funny you mentioned your sister's funeral. My dad's funeral, it was so poorly planned. I gave the eulogy. I like roasted him. But when I look back, I'm like, there's so many fucked up
Why did I do that?
It was just awful. It was my dad died 2 days before Christmas. And then we had the funeral like January 2nd. We couldn't get anybody to like perform. I would have done it completely differently, but it was what it was. I was telling that to my sister yesterday. I was like, I really regret like how we did dad's funeral.
You're like, should we do it again?
Yes.
Yeah. No, I was just like, I don't even know how I'm gonna get up there and talk. And I had some leftover crumbles and I know you've got your pills in your nightstand. So you get, I had some leftover crumbles of some yellow and some white, so I'm like, that's a friend's Klonopin. People give me, they'll be like, oh, you're going on an international flight. Here's a Klonopin. Here's like, these are all downers. I know that. So and they're all just like a little sprinkle. I'm like, that, a glass of red wine, at 11 a.m. before the thing. Yeah. And then I get up there and I'm like, I'm literally, I'd also had fresh Botox, that was a little botched, like 9 days before. So I had like a Spock eye and I was up there emotionless, like trying, like kind of crying, but like you couldn't see because there's the muscles above my eyes aren't moving. And then I'm like trying to like say something really like, and then trying to make people laugh. But I'm like, people are like, should we laugh at that? And
you have a Spock eye and you actually took like a boner pills. You actually took like, now you have a boner and a weird eye and you're like, two teardrops out of one eye. Yeah.
They're like, wow, he's really going through it. Yeah. Yeah. Poor guy. Yeah, no, I know. You look back on that stuff and you're like, interesting choices that we made there. Yeah. Like,
and other people were like, oh, she told that story. Like, I thought I just crushed. I was like, mic drop, let's go. And I don't remember anything. Like, no one remembers anything. So we're doing the best we can. That's what we're doing.
We are. Exactly. And you know what? I will say my character was developed based on the guy you get stuck talking to at a wedding. But the guy you get stuck talking to, or the parents' friend you get stuck talking to at a funeral, like after reception thing, is a wonderful something that I could maybe explore also. There was some weird shit. People say weird shit.
The first person who showed up, we had like I guess not even a viewing because we cremated my dad, but like 2 hours before the actual funeral. The first person that showed up was my third grade teacher, and she is like the number one person on the Rodan and Fields MLM, like the pyramid scheme,
yep.
Line. And she shows up, and I was like, oh my god, I can't believe she's here. Like, how did she even know about this? And I swear to God, she was recruiting me. She's like, I know you're going to make some money. And I was like, I'm getting recruited for an MLM, and you're the first person who shows up. Shows up like ceremony. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Oh my god! And you're standing there, you're like, this is actually like hilarious. I'm gonna remember this for later. But what the fuck's going on? Yeah, my mom had a friend who was like, because my wedding was 6 months after.
Yeah,
my sister died, and my friend, our family friend, was like, have you thought about? First of all, I'm cornered in a room at the country club, backed up against the wall, and I'm like, purple teeth, purple lips with red wine, like drooling. And this woman's backing, and she's like, have you thought about, at your wedding, you should get a cardboard cutout of your sister. And I was like, are you actively fucking kidding me? Like, I was like, oh yeah, like, you did great. Like, She was like, no, you should do it. And I was like, oh,
okay. Ironically enough, my mom came up with that idea for my wedding and was like,
no, I remember hearing about it.
Yeah, a cardboard cutout for your father. And I thought it was funny because I was like, this is gonna freak people out. They're gonna be like, oh, they're not doing well. Like, we put my mom in a tuxedo. We had a custom long tux and tails made for my mom, but my mom thought that was the funniest shit, but we couldn't figure out how to get it to Italy. And I was like, no one else is so dark. It's so dark. And that's the thing is, my mom thought it was funny, and I was like, can we please not? Like, you're killing me, Mom. Like, people say the craziest shit. And the wildest thing is, I have like this one rule. If anybody says like everything happens for a reason or they're in a better place, I just immediately am like, nope, you're cut out of my life. Goodbye.
Yeah. No, we're done.
We're done.
We're finished here. Yeah.
But the PE guy is that person who will corner you and want to talk about like your investments when you're like, the body isn't even cold yet. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. Pardon. He doesn't have awareness or empathy.
Nothing's
happened to him.
Did you have any scammers come out? And like, we had somebody show up at my dad's funeral. It was like, your dad said he was going to leave me all the furniture and the flat screen TV from his office. And we were like, huh? Like, did anybody try to come for any material goods?
I don't think so. I think my mom, I think still, or once she closed everything out, I think my mom was getting like spam stuff and like flags from Chase Bank being like, there's like fraud detected. Cause they're little like, rodents. They're like, a dead person. Like, let's try to. So there were like hackers like that were trying to get into things. People pretending to be the state of Illinois, like tax people, and my mom was dodging them left and right. But there was no, they weren't trying to take the furniture.
I know somebody was like actively trying to move like flat screens out of an office. The wild thing is my dad just got called to jury duty the other day. And I've been called to jury duty 3 times this year, to the point where I called Fulton County, city of Atlanta. I'm like, yo, I've already shown up and like done my civic duty. Like, you need to take me off this list. And then my dad got one, and I called him. I was like, this motherfucker's been dead. Like, try me, bitch. Like, what is happening?
My God. Yeah. No, oh my God. That's probably the best way to call jury duty. Like, and to get them off your back. Cause if you're like, oh, I have work, I can't come. They're like, you need a note or whatever. But you're like, this person's dead. They're like, oh,
okay. Yeah. They're like, well, we still expect to hear 8 a.m.
Yeah. And if he's not, we're going to sue you.
Yeah.
Perfect. No problem.
Perfect. Look at us. Look at us solving everybody's grief issues, especially around the holidays. Like, we're really doing the Lord's work.
We really are. God bless. Seriously.
So what are you up to now? You're wheeling and dealing with PE guy.
Wheeling and dealing with PE guy. Moved to the burbs myself to get out of the city. The big city of Boston, that city life. And wheeling and dealing PE guy. It's been a steep learning curve, but it's pretty low lift. It's quick video, quick edit, post. But I've had a lot of fun little opportunities and some random followers and things that are like, I'm like, the guy with the golden retrievers who does all the sports commentating.
Oh, you would know.
Street. Yes.
Yeah.
He followed me the other day, and I was like, he probably would expect me to be like, love football, or whatever he commentates on. And I was like, hey, I love your golden retrievers. And that's your story about your dead one made me really feel something. Thank you so much. And he was probably like, what the fuck is this?
He's so nice. I've done College Game Day before. He's the nicest man on the planet. He's so great.
I love that.
But But also, like, I'm the same way. I go to so many sporting events and I will quit very soon because I'm over it. But either way, I love having that conversation. Like, I'm not going to ask you anything about the sports because I'm over it. I don't care what the sport
you probably, I mean, because you have a lot of cool fans and followers and people who love your stuff and other celebrities. And you probably, I imagine you play it cool and you're like, all right, Reese Witherspoon, I'm not going to ask you about Legally Blonde or like, send you a video of me saying like Harvard, like it's hard, but like, love the picture of your cat. Like you're probably more just like real with them. I try to be like that. I try to be cool.
Try to be cool. Yeah. And it's interesting because I would, but I definitely would never approach like somebody I'm a fan of in person. And I get to go to a lot of really cool industry parties. But I usually am like in the corner, like, why didn't you say hi? And I'm like, because you're like crazy chick. Yeah. I think as a comic, you will always feel a little goofy. Like the joke is always on me. So I don't really know how to properly fan out towards people that I love and adore. I get weird around them.
Well, that's good. That's good that you like have an awareness, because I think some people truly would just be like, oh my God, like Savannah Guthrie. Holy shit. Isn't that weird that that's the first name that came to my mind? She seems like a nice lady. I feel
doing the red carpet though really truly humanizes people in the sense of like when I started doing a lot of the interviews, you just see them like sweating and half of them have like horrible breath because they haven't had water in 3 weeks. And they're just like you can smell the ketones on them and you're just like it very much so humanizes everyone. I mean, I can't tell you how many people like right before we go to air, I'm like, hey, you got stuff in your teeth, or like, I'm like dabbing their sweat off their brow. Everyone is just honestly in fight or flight 24/7. It doesn't matter how successful you are.
That's cool and kind of good to know. It probably, you're probably like, whoa, we're all like, people say like, oh, they're just like us. But you actually seeing it and you're like, oh, you really are just like me, Mr. Netflix movie, like whatever the person is you're interviewing. So with the red carpet stuff, that's like been the last couple of years, right?
Yeah. And I started doing it. And I'll tell you what, that's out of all the things I've done, that is one of the hardest jobs because again, I'm not a journalist. Like shout out to the people who are actually journalists and understand. I know how to have a quick conversation. And when I originally got hired for the job, I thought I was going to be more like Joan Rivers-esque because she was like my mentor in comedy, where I could just kind of like rip people a new asshole and have fun. I realized it was a lot more, there was so much more integrity in what I was doing. And so I think I'm going to leave it up to the real professionals. Like I want to be able to have that really ridiculous, funny rapport where I can roast and be and just kind of like be off the cuff. And of course, people their flowers who are and their accolades for what they've accomplished in this industry. But it's definitely, that is a tough gig. You're learning hundreds of names, every director, producer. There's just so much information. And I was doing it while on tour, while trying to prep for a special. And I have to wear so many different hats in this business to keep like the balls in the air. And I was just like, this is like my head spins after they say like, and we're wrapped, that I truly feel like I run a marathon. It's the craziest.
It's like the Eras Tour, your own version of it.
Truly.
You're traveling back to see Travis and,
Yeah. And the only time that anybody really ever respects me is when I'm doing stand-up. Like for 90 minutes on stage, nobody in my family is asking me where we're having dinner, what time they need to be somewhere. And it's just me on stage getting to let it rip and have a good time. And then as soon as I walk off stage, my husband's pestering me about some bullshit. So I'm that is my true love, is to do stand-up. That's my love.
No, and I have so much respect for that. I just talked to Joe Fenty. You might know him. He's chicken fried something on chicken fried Fenty on Instagram. He's a local Boston guy and he does stand up. He does a lot of like office meme Instagram videos that are funny. You definitely have seen it before. And he was last weekend, he was filming his 60-minute special that he was like how Becky Robinson, she self-produced. And she talked about this. Maybe she talked about it with you, about how it's like so expensive. And so she's like, I'm just going to do it myself. He was doing the same thing. And I was just like, I have so much respect for people who can do stand up. I did like a 5-minute set once and I wanted to shit my pants and go home and cry. Like I may have done two of those things. Like I was just like, it is not improv, because in improv you can be like, oh, no, I'm a tree. Like you can just be like, no, like I'm not stepping into this. Like,
and yourself out of the scene.
Yes, you could and you could go home. You go behind the wall. Like you do whatever you want in improv, and people are like, oh, it's part of the thing. But in stand-up, it is like all you for 90 minutes, you said?
Yeah, I mean, I like to do a full show. Like I really, I have a good time. And that's the one thing everyone's like, I do a lot on the road. I mean, a little bit like the Eras tour, where like when I first started touring, because people had found me because of my characters, I would open for myself as one of the characters. So I'd have on a wig and I would play this
Belinda Carlisle.
Brenda Carlisle.
Brenda.
Mississippi's #1 real estate agent. And I would open as her, or then I would do videos as like Ina Garden or this other original character, Margie McDaniels, like who was my stalker. So I had all these different characters and I would open up as these characters, but then like I started in stand-up. So I always wanted to do SNL, and character work's like my love. Like I love playing somebody nasty and gritty and unlikable. That is my favorite thing. Like you with the PE guy, like I like to play somebody who's unlikable, but then people would come out because they knew these characters and they're like, oh, fuck, you're a stand-up. Like that's how I got started, was in stand-up. But I'm kind of transitioning in the sense, like I sold a show to Hulu, and I mean, I've sold a couple shows, but nothing ever gets made. But this character that I'm playing is truly like an unlikable woman. And I'm so like in stand-up, it's amazing, but it's always from your point of view and perspective. And it brings me joy, but I am so ready to like put on a wig, smoke a menthol, drive a Mazda Miata and play somebody else. Like I'm really ready to play somebody else's story. So that is at the top of the vision board, is to get this TV show across the finish line for 2026.
Oh, that's awesome.
What do you want to do, Johnny? Because I'm like a master manifester. What do you want to do?
No, I know you are. And that vision board, you go click you do. I honestly, like, this came out of like nowhere, and I've always loved making people laugh. But I think when I moved to LA and I worked at Ellen, I was like, okay, I don't want to make people laugh this way, because this is not funny, and everyone here is scaring me. And I want to go home. But I've always loved to make people laugh, and I kind of gave up on on a larger scale. I was like, all right, I'm gonna leave LA. And then I found Zolciak. I was like, I'm going to make 52 people in this room laugh for 45 minutes while I also play some Fix You, and there's candles. You know what I mean? Like, I was cool with that. And I think now I'm just like, I want to keep PE guy going, but I also want to like flex my comedy muscle in other ways on the internet while I have your attention, internet, while I have your eyeballs, and just continue to do like the skit stuff and, see where it goes. Again, I'm terrified of stand up. But maybe I like try that. I don't know. I really don't know.
You could also, start doing stuff like locally. I will say this: road life is not for everybody. You have to love it. And that's not being discouraging. Do as many shows in Boston as you can when you have a 20-minute drive. You have to love to like be in some shitty cities. And that's the thing.
I see you. I see those posts. You're like, here I am. I'm flying to Kansas City today. And then tonight we're going to Memphis. And then tomorrow we're flying back to Atlanta. And then we're going to go to Europe. Like,
I mean, a lot of people think that it's glamorous. Like, playing Radio City was the greatest night of my life. But then you also have to go to like the Quad Cities, Iowa. I didn't know what it was, but I was next to a railroad track and a river, and I was like, gorgeous. Here we go. But that's the cool thing about it. There is no greater love for me than getting up and making people laugh. It's just truly like, my husband, no matter what kind of sexual moves he tries to try on me, that nothing will make me as wet as being on stage.
Perfect.
That's exactly what we need to use for the thumbnail clip of this.
That's the clip. Clip it. No, I've always been like that, and I can tell that you have too. I mean, I've been following along as a follower and an admirer from a distance of your whole path. So I've listened to hundreds of hours of your podcast and watched all of your shit. So, but because I'm like, this is like actually funny and genuine. And even when you're like 1 minute, like about to break down in the car and you're like screaming at your mom, and then the next thing, like, it's all so real. And I'm like, I've always felt, connected to you, because I'm like, I feel like we are similar. Like growing up, I loved to make people laugh. I'm the kind of person who like my teachers would be like trying not to smile, but they'd be like, go to the principal's office.
Yeah.
Like you are in trouble, get out. Like, and then I'd say one more thing and they'd be like, okay, like go. Like I was like, they like loved to hate me kind of so I was always kind of like that. And but I think I was like, what am I going to do with my life? People are like, what's your passion? And I was like, I'm going to be like, make people laugh. Cause then people would be like, what do you think you're going to be with that? You got to go work at a bank. So, because all my friends worked in,
Even when I would like, I did stand up at my high school prom. Like I always told my parents I was going to do comedy, and my dad was pushing me to be in the mortgage business. He was like, I think you're very talented, but I just don't understand. He's like, women don't do well in this business. I was like, oh, he's like, I know how to tell you to like put on a push-up bra and go sell to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So
yeah.
Pimping me out the mortgage biz, Dad, but okay.
Yeah.
But I never took no for an answer. I was like, I have to do this. And I worked every unglamorous job. That's the thing. I have been a nanny. I have been an assistant, a concierge, every hospitality job you can imagine. I did while everybody else was making money. I remember like having to say no to going to some of my close friends' weddings in our late 20s because I had $3 to my name. I couldn't go on the Bachelorettes, and they're like, "Oh, you're still doing the comedy thing," and I was like, "Just you wait, wait,
just give me a second."
Just give me a second." And I hit my stride in like early mid 30s, and I'm still feel like I'm not where I want to be in my career. So I feel like, especially as a woman, I was like a late bloomer with a lot of this. But you just have to like ride it out and see where it goes.
Well, you know what I always go back to? My ladies on The View. Sweet Joy Behar. She did not do stand-up till she was 40.
Yeah.
And here she is. Hello.
Here she is. So I did the View recently, and she was like, "You're very funny." And she goes, "You're performing here in New York." I was like, "Yeah, I have 2 shows at the Beacon this weekend." She goes, "I'm going to Boca." And then just like, I was like, "Joy, I love that. I love that."
Joy, thank you. That could not have been more authentic Joy Behar for me. Thank you so much, Joy. Yeah.
She's like, "Sorry, I'm getting on a PJ to Boca. Gotta go."
Yeah. You're like, oh, that tracks, Joy.
Yeah.
No, I also for me, I don't know if you feel this way at all. I obviously it's especially what you've been doing is like hard work, and you in the beginning, especially, you took risks with like, all right, I'm going to put this wig on, I'm going to be this character, and like, people are going to say mean things in the comments, I'm going to keep going. Like, so obviously, without discrediting your hard work that's gotten you here, do you have a little bit of a feeling of like your dad, like a little like guardian angel, like dad's kind of like, okay, I got like pushing you along, like in
100%. And also I just had such a fearlessness. Like after my dad, I was like, all right, well, fuck it. Like truly life is short.
Willing to take risks. Yeah.
Willing to take risks. Oh, my dad shows up. So my dad always comes back to me as a yellow jacket or a bumblebee. And when I was touring theaters to figure out where I wanted to shoot my first special, I was outside the Lexington Opera House where I shot my first special. And I was like, "Dad, is this the right place?" And I swear to God, a yellow jacket landed on the top of my purse. And my business partner and who directs my specials, she was with me and she was like, he's there. I mean, to the point where I was playing in Charleston and I walked out and they were removing a microphone to swap out mics. And the mic had tape on it, masking tape on it that said Kyle, my dad's name. And they're like, oh, that's weird. Our tech guy, like we don't even know who Kyle is. Like there were all these little moments where my dad just shows up, I can't,
like little winks
all the time. And I do think that if my dad was still here, because my dad had he was a private pilot for fun. When he retired, he bought this hangar in Atlanta and he called it the Pilots Country Club. My dad had a King Air and loved to fly. That was like his passion. I'm like, my dad would have been flying me everywhere. People are like, "Do you fly in private jets?" No, I would have been in the back of my dad's Beechcraft Baron and we would have been cruising to shows. He would have run the merch booth. He would have been security. I mean, it just would have been so insane, but it's bittersweet because he never really got to see any of my success. But I just have to remember, like, that's why I do it. You know, you got to keep moving and doing what makes you happy because life is so short. And that's what he would have wanted me to do.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I love that.
He's around. He's around. Yeah. And I will say, you're talking about shooting specials. They are expensive. Like I self-produce both of mine and we'll self-produce this next one, but then you like sell it to the streamers. That's what everybody does now.
Oh, I was going to say, so you did that and then sold this to Netflix.
Yeah. And then sold the next one to Hulu. And then the next one, we're going to see where that goes. But because people like, you want to own your IP. I mean, granted, it's great if they come in but you want to have like complete creative liberty, but it's wild. It's an expensive game to play, but you just hope that, people will see it and then they'll love it. And then they'll continue to buy tickets on the road. And that's kind of the hamster wheel. We all say, like, we all cross paths on the road and we're all like, are you burnt out from Minneapolis last night? I'm like, yeah, but you love it. You never want to stop. It doesn't matter. Like the greatest joy.
It takes a special kind of person to do that. That is not lost on me.
I know an insane person. Folks like, how do you do comedy? I'm like, that's the only thing I feel confident in. I don't know. If you asked me to do your taxes, we would be fucked. You and I would both be, the SEC would be calling and be like, fraud. I mean, the one thing I understand. It's the one nutty neurotic thing that my brain can figure out is how to stand on stage in front of strangers and make them giggle. But if you ask me to like sit down and have a serious conversation about finance, I would absolutely panic.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah. This whole thing with PE guy and this whole thing kind of blowing up has been the only time I've been comfortable, like in like getting on a Zoom call when I worked at this company and I would like get on calls with people that were going to like maybe grill me about things. I would be like, I'm going to throw up. But with this, I'm like a brand will call me or something and I'll be sitting talking and I'm just kind of like, it's just me. It's like, this is me. So I have all the answers. Like I can tell you everything, so I'm even like with this, especially with you, I'm like not at all nervous, but like even like founders of companies, I'm just like, I'm not presenting here as like a business person interviewing. It's fucking me. And I'm just going to ask you, what do you do? What do you do in the morning when you wake up? Like, do you like to exercise? Like just me. And letting that be like, it just showing up as yourself. Like if you can do that and that's your job, like that's the ultimate. You're just like, of course I'm confident because it's just, I got all the answers. It's just me. Whatever I do goes.
I'll tell you one piece of advice. As the train starts to leave the station and you're going to pick up more stuff, ask the questions though, because I had a big life lesson this year where I said yes to so many things, and I'm a fairly easy go with the flow person in life, but I learned a very quick lesson. You have to ask and understand what you're doing. Like I went into a couple gigs this year, not fully understanding. They're like, oh, Heather's easy. She's easy to work with. Go with the flow. And I'm like, yeah, whatever you throw at me, I can handle. And it did. And then I got put in some uncomfortable situations. So just ask the questions because people are like, oh, Johnny's funny. Oh, he's easy. No, sometimes you got to be a little bit of not a prick, but just be like, hey, what exactly are your expectations for me in this moment? Because if not, that is my biggest takeaway this year. I'm like, I'm going to start saying no. And I'm going to make sure I know what the fine print is because I'm not going to be like thrown to the wolves, No,
that's great advice. I just similar-ish kind of thing this weekend. Not the same, but this group of guys came and they were doing a podcast and they were like, we'd love to interview you. And this other guy in Boston who's like been doing this for 6 years, like comedy stuff in Boston. And they're like, we'll come and we'll take you to dinner. We'll go to, we'll do the podcast. So we filmed the podcast. And then afterwards, each individual one of them wanted a video, just me make a video with me so that I can post it, so we can post it. And I got the sense the next day when I was getting messages like, hey, when are you going to post that? And like add us as collaborators to it. Like, it'll be really good for our like, business. I was like, oh, like you don't give a fuck about me. Like, oh, I see here. Like, like I was like, oh, this is because like I'm having a moment on the internet and you would like for me to sprinkle some of my followers at you. Like I was like, so, and they might hear this and that's fine. I'd be shocked if they listen because this, I don't know. But I was like, oh, wow. Like I should have asked okay, what are you expecting me to make a video with all 4 of you individually and spend 45 minutes doing that and then edit it together and then send it to you and then post it and collab you? Like, I was like, whoa. That was the first time where I was like, oh, you do kind of have to remember, like some people might see, even though I'm just like an idiot bouncing around on the internet. Some people can see you as like, oh, you could really help me here. Instead of like, I'm really interested in your story. Let's talk about it. More
do you know how many times when I was being interviewed for my first special and like you could watch the 10-second trailer and know that the special is about my dad dying in a real funny way. And they would literally, the first question out of it is like, so tell me about your family. So your parents are still married and I was like, I mean, you're promoting and like huge names. And I'm like, you could not even take the 10 seconds to watch the trailer. I didn't expect to watch the hour. Like, we're all busy. I get it. But like, fucking placate me a little bit. Like, what are we doing? It's just wild, but there is so much power. And I was always a yes, 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 like work begets work, like go, 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 go. And then this year I finally was like, I put too much on my plate. I was burnt out. I was exhausted and people took advantage of me. And I also set myself up and shot myself in the foot for some things, but it was just like, you got to some days say there is a power in asking what are all of our expectations? And on top of that, like, no, this is actually too much. I've got to pump the brakes.
Yeah, I'm gonna start crying. This is too much.
Yeah, this is too much. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Well, you know what? Next time I have an inkling about that, I'm gonna add to your plate and I'm gonna text you.
Text me. But here's the thing.
What do I do?
I love when people text me and they're like, do you know this person says this is a bad idea? And I'm like, run for the hills. Or I'm like, no, that's cool. Because we all need some guidance. I've got my people that I text who are much more successful than I am. And they're like, absolutely do not work with that producer. They will steal your money and rob you blind. And you're like, thank God.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we all have to look out for each other in this business because if we don't, I believe that the karma is so real. If you help other creators and other comics, it'll come back to you tenfold.
For sure. Yeah. Which leads me to thanking you for being here because, you just drove like however many hours in traffic. Your computer is dead. You're just like about to fall off. It's the day before Christmas Eve. It's a hard anniversary. And you're like, let me open my computer. And then I'm like, and did your dad pass recently? Like literally the same day.
I wouldn't want it any other way. This brings so much joy to my life, and I'm so proud of you. And I'm glad that we could connect face to face. And hey, I have a show coming up in Boston in the spring. Come and let's have some drinks afterwards.
Gorgeous. When is that in the spring?
I'm thinking April at the Schubert, I believe, the Schubert Theater.
Oh, yeah, wonderful.
Let's do it.
I'll be there. I'll be there. 1,000,000%.
Fantastic.
I love that for us.
Yeah, I love that for us too.
Truly, and I mean, honestly, we could talk for 4 hours, but I'm going to let you go back to your life and your husband and your mom. I think probably is nearby.
Yeah. Boston Robin. She'll be in Boston, so I would love to see you two get together and
oh my God,
back some red wine and take some loose pills, and we'll all cry.
Yes, perfect. I love that. Oh my God, Heather McMahan, thank you so much for being here. This has been absolutely wonderful. You can find Heather at
Heather K. McMahan.
Yes.
And I'm on the road. So get your tickets at heatherontour.com.
And the Absolutely Not podcast.
Period.
Available every
Wednesday.
Wednesday. We were doing an improv bit, guys. Sorry. We can't help it.
Every Wednesday, everywhere.
Every Wednesday, everywhere. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, my dear. This has been lovely.
Of course. Good to see you.
God bless. Good to see you.